This is pretty exciting. Frog Week, July 20th through the 26th, and our friend Aaron Capole is here to join us. Among the many hats that he wears as president of Pennsylvania Woods and Forests and creator of Woods and Forests Media. A lot going on in his life. And of course, with every visit, there's always something new, Aaron. It's always exciting to talk about your world and what's going on with it. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, Bo. Yeah, I'm really excited to talk about what we have today.
Of course, this week, always big for you, but how about a little recap of some things here that our listeners need to know about how your life has been since our last visit?
My life has been nothing but focus on work and school, but primarily it's on this project because it overtakes so much of my life. A lot of people don't realize how dedicated you have to be, how much discipline you have to have if you're actually going to do some kind of a conservation project and you're going to go all in, because it'd be very easy to just get by, but instead of doing the bare minimum, if you really give it everything you have and you have that passion, it's hard to take you off the field whenever it's time to actually execute.
That's a good analogy. That pitcher that's gone 6-7 innings that still thinks he has it, Don't take him out of the game. That's you right now. To have this energy and to see the programs growing, so encouraging. And I think that's part of it, is more people are aware of who you are and what you're doing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there's a great analogy. It's kind of funny. I guess we'll stick with sports here today. But I think about Nick Saban, how he talked about if you just continuously stay in your lane and you just keep winning and you keep looking at each situation independently, not get psyched out about each opportunity, but just look at it as the next building block for the next big thing.
Right.
Set yourself up to successfully conquer things that would be very deterring or very nerve-wracking to some folks, but at the same time, long-term, long-standing success can actually overcome the hate or any critics. Like, I think Tom Brady made that analogy too. Like, if you just keep winning and people see this is just authentic, this is who you are, you keep moving forward, eventually people are going to say, well, that's just who that person is.
Yeah. That's exactly right. Stay in your lane. Show the specialization of what you do. People are just going to realize that you got to respect the work.
I mean, our project for conservation is going through now 8,000 square miles.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of area. From Bedford to Fayette to Pittsburgh to Cambria, if you would drive all of that around, it would take forever to get through all of it. But a lot of those counties, I mean, I'm going to be in different parts of them and potentially different counties on one night. There's a lot of travel involved with this. There's a lot of psychological evaluation that goes into it, because you're seeing animals getting smashed on the road, or you're seeing things that you can't necessarily control. Like when we have a drought, if there are frogs and toads that are laying eggs in a puddle and it's drying up, you got to wait for the tadpoles to come out of the eggs. And then there's legal things with the state. You can't move eggs. You have to only move so many tadpoles. So if a toad lays 4,000 eggs, you're only moving 12 at a time. Eventually the pools of water are going to dry up and you might not get all the tadpoles out.
The Woods and Forests Media that you represent, also Josh's Frogs, I mean, that's different hats that you have to wear with different responsibilities and obligations.
Absolutely. So I'll break it down. PA Woods and Forests is a 501c3 nonprofit that's incorporated, and that's who does all the field work. We have a bioacoustic research project going on. We also have habitats that we're building with our conservation committee. We do a lot of the actual field work, and that's what I represent. I founded that as an organization in 2021. And then Woods and Forests Media had to actually be separated out because at the time our treasurer did not want to do taxes, which I completely understood. I got an educator permit to educate the public about frogs and toads that were coming from dangerous places. So what that means is I got a permit through the state to be able to keep reptiles and amphibians that are on a white list, and I have to go through following the proper channels of paperwork each year. I wanted to teach people about these animals and also give some of them a chance if they're coming off of maybe they're wounded or they got like horribly wounded, or they're sick, or their habitat's no longer there anymore. There's so many different stories, the really great stories. That's why for Woods and Forest Media, the tagline is like, the woods are full of stories, because we could tell all of the personal stories and get college kids all the way down to kindergartners very excited about telling these stories. And by having to separate it out, The nonprofit focuses on all the field work. The media brand focuses on the media. So if I'm recording things, if I am finding ways to make it engaging and entertaining, because our target audience has been K through 12, college students, and also families. That's who our priority is. We want to see the next generation of conservationists and herpetologists, and you have to get them to do something, the field work, but you also have to show what we're doing, because a lot of people like to see what folks are doing. And some of the best pitches selling to these folks, if you want to bring them into your organization, is to say, hey, look at what we've done over the course of these 6 months of field work that goes into the project, and look what we've done over these 8 years, because we're on 8 years now for Frog Week.
Wonderful. Why does this matter? I think sometimes people just need to hear why this is important. And I think once they hear an answer from you, they might be surprised.
Yeah, so this matters because we are trying to make a difference with the frogs and toads, and we've actually had to, I think, get more clarity and explain this and identify this point a little bit better, so I'm glad that you asked. So the goal of Frog Week from the organization, because we have a lot of things we do, but this is the big thing, our big event that we do. Like some folks have annual dinners and festivals. This is ours. Well, for PA Woods and Forests, for Frog Week specifically, having it across the board with different groups sponsoring it and being a part of it, it's primarily focused on working with populations of frogs and toads that have human-animal conflict, and also with frogs that are in dangerous locations. So if they're breeding in puddles, we've created a program, Critter Talks, Tadpoles to Toads, or Tree Frogs Initiative. What that means is we bring tadpoles that are from drying puddles to schools and allow kids to raise them and then take them back as baby frogs to where they're from. But we also have gotten into the projects of building habitats now, small scale, but to try to mitigate droughts, because as droughts continue to dry up their habitats, there's less time for the tadpoles to develop. So building habitats is very important nowadays, but the goal is to try to conserve these animals and make sure that we don't lose any other frogs and toads out of the 18 that we have. Even in central and western Pennsylvania, a few of them have disappeared over the years, and some are on the chopping block that could. So our organization is primarily focused on trying first to help with the animals that are in those, like the backyard suburban neighborhoods and maybe the forest edge. So I'm looking at being somebody in the trenches in the field, kind of in like the edge habitats. But our second priority is the forested species, and going to look for frogs that might have disappeared or whatever. But the goal is to try to make an impact with the ones first that are dealing with human-animal conflict first.
Touched on this briefly, hearing from an organization, Fayette County, branching out there, that just has to be a good feeling.
Yeah, I want to give a huge shout out to the Mountain Watershed Association and the Fayette County Conservation District for being a big part of us coming to the area, but also for a guy named John Clark, who was a big part in helping us to figure out where maybe one of the populations were of a very sensitive species in Fayette County. And a huge shout out as well, we didn't even get a chance to cover them, but Josh's Frogs, who has donated so much to the project. So it's kind of funny because, we have Michigan-based pet retailer who does so much philanthropic work. They've donated pitcher plants so kids learn about our native species, because they're actually the native species that grows in Fayette and Westmoreland and Somerset. And I just wanted to give them a highlight. They've been present for the entire project all 8 years, whether it's making videos, donating like money, donating time for events, like sharing posts on social media, getting in front of a few 100,000 people. There's so much that they have done as well. I just wanted to give them a shout out. But and now these groups with Fayette County are also a part of that, whether it's us getting grants with some of them to build habitats, or it's just putting on presentations, having frog walks, so nature hikes at night looking for frogs on properties of other organizations. So there's so much that we've had the chance to do, whether it be Fayette County or just all the groups together that have wanted to partner with us and make this a reality this year too.
PA Woods and Forest Media, last time you were here I talked about just how amazed I am at the detail of the footage that you have as you're observing this stuff. It's pretty cool, I think, that you are with that project with Pennsylvania Woods and Forest Media, you put together two things that really interested you, and that is obviously studying nature, number one, with your joy of working with media.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, going through the project, understanding how each organization has its role. You know, we talked about having different hats. Well, the media brand, I've probably donated over, it's probably getting close to 1,000 hours of service, where a media brand would charge, I'd be rich if I was charging over 8 years the same amount of work that I've done.
Yeah.
You know, donating that time, all the gear, and the ability to make these episodes. So a lot of people asking, you know, we've done 6 months in the field, we've done 8 years worth of conservation work, but we also actually have videos to show for it. So as this year, primarily the focus was telling stories and paying homage to a lot of authors that have actually been in this region, central and western Pennsylvania, looking at the distribution of frogs and toads. So I'm getting a little more specific this year, but we want to know what frogs have lived in these different counties over the last 113 years. And I wanted to look at books, and I wanted to use some online sources. But primarily this year, as a starting point of getting into the distribution side of things, more so than just driving around looking for them and building habitat. Looking at this, I wanted to reach out to some authors, get their input, and also show that we had some really good sources over the last 113 years of where animals had been found and what had been going on in this region. And so I uncover a lot of things most people wouldn't have even thought about over the 113 years, from some of the books and some of the actual projects that are on like digital formats, like the Pennsylvania Amphibian Reptile Survey and iNaturalist. And actually that's a Woods and Forest Media, along with making the 8 videos for each species, and plus Woods and Forest Media content on top of it, has been running actually a distribution project on iNaturalist. And out of 10 people who have been contributing, we have over 1,000 records. And let me put that into perspective.
Awesome.
So if we see 140 or 1,000 spring peepers in one night, that would count as one record. So if we have 246 records of a green frog and like 216 of a spring peeper, you can multiply that by almost like 100 or more to imagine how many frogs we're actually seeing. But each record counting as one night in the field, counting as technically one specimen. So they show up for their population. But understanding like how to create that criteria for people, how to keep it organized, how to run it, and then understanding what we're looking at, and then using that to inform us of what we have historically with these books and what we have now, and how that's gonna influence us on how we build habitats.
Yeah. Again, especially these videos. I talked about it before, but just the National Geographic detail you see in some of these, pretty remarkable.
Thank you. Yeah, we really stepped it up. I had a lot of time here. I put a big budget out. This year's Frog Week it's probably going to end around $20,000 when it's all said and done for how much it costed to put on, which is more than a lot of other years and some even combined. But yeah, I'm very excited for folks to see the usage of trail cameras and drones and also infrared binoculars. But our primary cameras are, I think, really good with like collecting the data in front of them, whether it's watching frogs in front of them calling or wrestling. I can't wait for people to see. I've spent around an equal amount of time with each species, but the way that we have this organized, I think there's about 14 main episodes, and it's going to come out on the Woods and Forests Media YouTube channel, the media brand who's been actually doing the work and following this over the 8 years. But people will see, American bullfrogs and northern green frogs, American toads, the mountain chorus frog, which is the new species this year, but some Woods and Forest Media originals. We're going to talk about catching up on what's been going on since we last spoke in the winter. The toads have an episode in there, and like the rescued pets, and I'm really excited for people to see what we're doing in the classrooms, and even the frog calls. I spent some time trying to get the best footage I could over all the days in the field to put together 8 different frogs and toads calling, and you can hear the sounds of the season basically with that episode. But there's a lot of really cool stuff that I think people are going to want to watch because it puts a lot of this area in the spotlight.
Aaron Capole, Frog Week this week, July 20th through the 26th. Any highlights to touch upon?
We have a lot of events coming up. The 20th, we're going to be at the Cambria County Library, and we're going to have a Frog Week kickoff episode where we're going to, I should say a Frog Week kickoff event where we're going to be talking about all of the stuff that we did, the result of what happened in the field this year. We're going to have an event at Laurelview Village. I know I have a few podcasts I'm going to jump on with different people around the country, which is cool that there's a lot of people that care about this. We're going to have a lot of events coming up. I know one at the Fat Squirrel. We also have event coming up in Fayette County and also a few in Westmoreland. So we have the events page listed on the PA Woods and Forests website. So if you're interested, you could sign up to get notifications when we're going to be at each of these different counties, and also if you want to see what's going on.
Last time we talked, we were talking about you looking specifically into nonprofit management. Anything come to fruition with that? I
think there's a lot we could talk about. Understanding how to build not only the media brand, but understanding how to build your nonprofit, looking at yourself in a way. That's why we started, I think, with the analogy of sports, because if you look at yourself as kind of a head coach, but in a way also still sort of an athlete, so it's kind of a hybrid role. But if you look at yourself as selling a vision to people and selling, something that we're actually doing in the community, it's not easy to go into a college classroom and try to recruit students who some of them are some of the newest, upcoming, brightest minds we're going to have in the country. And getting some of those folks behind us, it's different because I pretty much built a committee for our organization, the Conservation Committee. It took place probably around the early parts of the fall last year in 2025, and I was just selling this vision to students primarily, but you think of the nonprofit sector, a lot of it is people who are above 45,
yes.
I'd say.
Yes.
And just our one committee, which is right now our strongest branch, our strongest arm of the organization at this moment, is our Conservation Committee, and that's folks from like around the ages of 22 up to 41. So generally it's pretty youth driven. It's younger folks who, some are in their PhD programs, some going for it, some in a master's program, others who've been inspired who never went to college or who've taken breaks to get back into it. But people just overall are so excited about what we're doing, and it's fun to see kind of a community of folks together and these large email chains and group text chats, and seeing how their passion to want to build these habitats, to want to help these animals. It started with me 8 years ago, and now going to these schools and seeing, maybe I'm working or I'm busy, and now this other group of people who didn't even know each other a year ago are so passionate and understanding of what's going on, and they're accomplishing stuff. Yeah. To know you can trust that and to have that belief, but in a way that excitement to take a step back and say, look at what the next generation of people are becoming. Yeah, please continue doing what you're doing. Thank you. Yeah, we're not going to stop now. Nice. Aaron Capole, Pennsylvania Woods and Forests, also PA Woods and Forests Media. Good luck to you. Keep doing what you're doing. Frog Week this week. I know it's a big celebration for you. I always appreciate your visits, Aaron. Thank you. Thank you for having me again, Bo.